the F9 cookbook and the pressure washing guidebook by Heath Phelps. Guys, check these two things out. Absolutely amazing. This is a must book to have here. Craig Harrison, F9, man, put that together. It is absolutely a phenomenal book. Guys, here, as you saw the title here, you know, I read a lot of blogs. I read a lot of things, guys, and definitely, how do we choose our gurus that we follow and our mentors necessarily? Well, I'm gonna tell you guys first and foremost is the mentor or guru does not even have to be particularly in this industry, and here's why. It depends on the type of application that you're going to be seeking out. If you're trying to start a business up from the startup and you've never been in business before, you have no past business experience, you definitely want to latch on to somebody that is currently doing it and is being successful at it. Maybe not somebody that's just started up new like you, but potentially somebody that's been doing it for 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years. Guys, if you're under 5 years in this business, you are new in this business. And that's just the reality in any business that you're in. If you're under a certain amount of years, you're new in this business. Really, when you've been in the business about 10 years, you really kind of get a handle on it. I know there's gonna be like, oh, that's not true, Rob. I've been in this business for 3 years. What could I know more about this business? And I'm just doing phenomenal, blah, 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 blah. You're in a great climate right now for the business. We've been in an upward trend climate. And when you succeed through a downward trend climate and you've been in business for more than the 5-year mark, or you've been in business for 3 years, you're going to find out it's a little bit more difficult. The great thing is the economy is for the industry is still going great. Yes, we've hit a lull. It's a little bit slow. How you doing, Antonio, Derek, Truth Seeker? How you guys doing? That's just how this is. But here, first and foremost, is when you want to get a mentor. Let's say you want a mentor that basically you can meet with. Online is great, but you know what? If you can meet with your mentor, and this guy doesn't have to be in the pressure washing business. As a matter of fact, I always encourage guys always to mentor with somebody in another service business. That way you don't have to worry about, you're not directly related with competition, but you have the same customer base. An example, if you could know a pool man or a landscaper and you're in the residential business, they know a lot of homeowners, they know a lot of the people that you want to be doing business with. Plus, they share some of the similar struggles on the business running aspect of the business. How you doing, David Allen? And this is valuable because sometimes if these guys have been around a little while, they know everybody that you want to be introduced to. And we're talking residential here in this aspect. And yes, if you've got a guy that's in the business and he's a commercial pool cleaner or a commercial carpet cleaner and he doesn't necessarily do the residential and you want to be in the commercial pressure washing business, pony up with somebody that's in that commercial world. Here's the biggest thing, and I'm going to try to simplify this as simple as I can. If you're looking for a mentor or you're looking for a guru to follow, first and foremost, you need to figure out the number. There's a couple of questions you got to ask yourself. Is what I'm doing this guru's or mentor's expertise? Are they in the residential business? And is residential what I want to follow? And all too often, I'll tell you this, I would really be, and my gurus out there are going to be upset with me. I would be weary of the guru or the mentor that's trying to tell you this big, he covers this big, huge, broad spectrum. He can teach you residential. He can teach you commercial. He can teach you all these things. Sometimes you got to ask the tough questions. Okay, what is your expertise, guru? What is your expertise potentially mentoring me? What is the percentage of your business? Are you 90% residential and 10%? Are you 100% commercial and 0 residential? Because obviously you don't want to pick up on gurus' tips. These things that between residential and commercial, there are some common fundamentals that apply, but in the two different games, they're completely different. And talking about this as far as the difference between residential and commercial, There's a difference between if you're trying to learn how to run the mechanics of a business and you're trying to learn how to use your craft. In other words, you don't know the fundamentals of the trade situation of how to wash a house, how to clean a sidewalk, how to clean a kitchen hood event, how to wash a truck, tractor, trailer, rig. There are so many things in the pressure washing industry that you need a specific direction on where you're going. And I see a lot of guys out there in this industry, they really don't know what direction that they are going. This talk today is based for new guys, but this also might wake some of the guys up that are struggling 3 years and 5 years. And they're like, man, I still really don't have this down, man. I'm running over here. I'm running over there. I'm working at night on commercial. I'm working in the day on residential. Then I got fleets on the weekends, and I'm never seeing my kids, and they really haven't geared up and gotten specific on one thing. And I'll tell you, that's a problem as well, because I've never seen anyone in this industry that's successful at kitchen exhaust cleaning, fleet washing, house washing, and trying to do commercial stuff all encompassed into one. I've not found that company. I've now found the company that's ultra successful. Sure, there are guys out there that are doing it. They're running themselves to death, and they're everywhere. So my advice to you as a new guy that's watching this is to really figure out, do some soul searching within yourself, figure out where you're at. If there's an admission to yourself that, hey man, I'm new to business and I really need some of these fundamental things on, the step-by-step processes of what I need to do fundamentally out there to be successful and to run a business. And I always tell guys this: if you want to scale up, you've got to pretend, and sometimes it's just pretending and faking it. Sometimes you got to pretend that, hey, I got to follow my own manual. Even though I'm an owner operator, if I ever want to hire a guy, I need to start that manual now, and I need to start improving upon it and have it ready so that when I do hire somebody, I actually have a program in play that I can use to scale my company up and work on it. And all too often, guys don't really understand that you have to, that's how you have to operate. And they go, I just work by myself. I wake up in the morning. I got a checklist. It's right here in my head. You can't take that checklist in your head and apply it to somebody else that's in the business. It just doesn't work. You have to have this stuff written down. You have to have policies in play and procedures in play and processes. Some of these guys call these things systems. I don't believe a system without accountability is a system. And we're not going to get into that because that's another video altogether. And you might be able to watch one of my other videos. You need a ticket to the thing. Hey, guys, watch John and Ron's show on Wednesday, guys. Doug App's coming on there from JRC. He'll be on there, and we'll be giving some tickets away to the PWNA show on September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, guys, in Louisiana, guys. It'll be a fun thing. Hey man, I appreciate those kind words, Derek. That's awesome stuff, man. Good stuff. Good morning there, Mr. David Allen, Antonio Curio. Yep, there you go, man. Here we go. Strictly residential. So let's use Antonio as an example of strictly residential. Let's say Antonio, and I don't know if you've just started out, but if you just started out, I'm going to give these kinds of examples to guys, and I'm not necessarily saying that I promote this specific guru that I'm going to mention. I'm going to just tell you from my perspective of where I see it, okay? So if Antonio was strictly residential and he was saying from day 0 to even 2 years, I would say follow a guy like Rob Anderson that's out there. This is a guy that I know he's been in full-time now for a couple of years. Good morning, Art. He's been full-time for a couple of years, and he's going to know the residential struggles that I don't know. I don't know residential struggles because I don't do residential. Secondly, if I had done residential, I don't really know what the struggles are of starting up a residential business is because I've been doing this for 35 years. My struggles were 35 years ago on a startup. So this is what I'm trying to get through to you guys. It's not about Rob Anderson. It's about the type of guru he is on YouTube. He's a new guy. He's young. He's just starting out. He seems to be successful if you look at his operation. So if you follow him as a new guy, he's probably got some pretty good content. He's going to share you some of his, inner deep, soul searching problems that he's had and struggles that he's had. And potentially you're going to be able to relate to those problems, and you'll be able to utilize those and maybe head them off at the pass and not make the same mistakes that he made. Now, that's just one type of an example that I'm talking about. That's just how it goes. Now we'll forward this out and we'll say, okay, where are we at with let's say I want to be into community management. Okay, if I were to be in community management, I'm going to seek out the guy that's the expert in community management. I'm not going to go try to find some guy that's brand new necessarily in the industry and just starting out and try to follow him to become the expert in community management. If that's the focus and that's where I want to put everything I've got into my company into, I'm going to go look for that guy. I know a guy. His name's Patrick Clark. And again, I'm not saying follow Patrick Clark or promote Patrick Clark. I'm giving you the ideology that Patrick Clark in this industry, been around for 15 years. Community management's his bag. He goes out there and does condominium complexes, apartment complexes, by the hundreds, millions of dollars in revenue source. He's out there. He's willing to share his information. He's willing to help you guys out on how to get this stuff. That's who I would go follow. Okay, I'm gonna come up with another one here, guys. So if you wanted to become a fleet washing guy, this means a truck washing guy, man, you're gonna go out there and look for a guy named Blaine Bellarud, or there's another guy up in, I can't think of his name right now, but he's up in Washington. He also teaches fleet washing. There's Nate Ferrier up in Michigan, who also is a BioClean guy. You got Mike Woolley up in Canada, massive fleet washing guy. You want to follow these guys if you want to learn how to do fleets. That's an awesome opportunity. These are guys that have washed millions of trucks. So if you want to wash trucks and you want to learn how to wash trucks, follow these guys. I hope you guys are getting my points here on when you're following a YouTube star. You want to make sure that you understand, one, what they've done in their career and been in business, and if they've really actually done it. Because I got to tell you something, guys, there's a lot of YouTube stars out there that have never they're not successful. Well, I wouldn't say they're not successful. They really haven't done what they said they're going to do. And they've regurgitated information that they may have learned on the web, or they may have done this or that. And, obviously, they help people, but it's basically they've never done it themselves. So they really don't know the clear path a lot of times. And then you wind up with a roadblock. They can get you to the fundamentals, but they can't carry you beyond the fundamentals. Now, is there a problem with that? No, not necessarily. If you follow somebody like that and you find yourself at a dead end, that's why I always tell people, having multiple guys that are out there that you're listening to sometimes can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be a detriment. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Now, I'm going to explain something to you. Heath Phelps has only been in business. He's coming up on his year anniversary, okay? And he wrote this book. But here's the craziest thing in the world is, okay, sometimes in the industry, you have prodigies. I'm not necessarily saying Keith is a prodigy, but sometimes you have guys in the industry that will do special things and that, will go out there and do the research and the information. I don't think in my 35 years, I've ever seen somebody that I've known of, I'm not saying they're not out there, that I've known of that's done the research like Keith has, by compiling all of the notes and the research he's done and his trials of learning and doing this, and actually being very successful at it. He listened to other people's mistakes. He compiled this book together to try to find out what the fundamentals were. Then he went out there and did it. And I'll tell you what, I guarantee he's found out some of the stuff in his book is absolutely malarkey. But here's the thing. He's going to revise the book. He's going to make himself better. And a lot of times out there, guys, is the real struggle is that you just don't go out there and you're not afraid to make the mistakes. You got to go out there and make the mistakes. Heath has gone and done this book, and he knows there's mistakes in the book, and he's going to fix the book. He's going to improve the book, and with that improvement comes the self-improvement that he has. But he wasn't afraid to do it. He wasn't afraid to take that leap, go out there and put the things together, start implementing them and putting them into play and taking action. A lot of times, lots of guys want to sit back. Let's listen to Ron Musgraves tell us how to do commercial sales. Well, he told me I listened to that video, but no sales came in and the phone didn't ring. You've got to go out there and apply it and take action. You have to take action with these things that you learn. I'm going to get back to the detriment and the pluses of having multiple mentors. And here we go again. Mentors, okay? If you have a motivational mentor or somebody that's keeping you accountable, sometimes the motivational and accountable mentor can be the same. Maybe that's not somebody that's giving you business advice, but rather than making sure you follow through with your actions. They're there like a trainer, man, making sure that you stay on a good diet and that you're working out and you're exercising. They're not really going to tell you how to exercise or do these things, but they're making an example of this. Maybe you go to a nutritionist to get your diet, and he makes sure that you follow the diet and keeps you on track. Okay. See, this is where guys get confused sometimes. And what they do is they try to get too many guys that are trying to hold them accountable. Too many guys that are trying to be the nutritionist, trying to feed them the information to make their business stronger. And what happens is, all too often happens is they're trying to follow too many processes of too many different people. And then sometimes they go, I'll have 10 mentors and I'll try to extract the best thing from each of them and I'll try to implement every best thing and we're going to move forward from there. And sometimes that's the biggest failure that you can make, because the problem with it is when you've honed in on somebody that wants to teach you the processes and go through those fundamentals, they're their fundamentals. And sometimes other people have completely different fundamentals on how they got from point A to Z. And because you're trying to mix and match these systems in play, you wind up at a dead end. And I want to warn you right now, if you found out that you're in this situation or you seem confused a lot, try to find the one person for that type of application and follow them and really work their process. Really listen to them. Choose them wisely. Remember, I gave you the tips at the very beginning. If they've done what you want to do, they should be able to help you. If they've never done residential like myself, don't follow me if I start trying to sell you a residential package. I'm going to sell it to you right now. You're going to make millions of dollars. I've never washed a house in my entire life, but you can follow me because I know the process, because I've read it a million times somewhere else, and I can tell you how to do it. Wrong. Go back again to the beginning of the video and choose your mentor in the respects of what their expertise is when you want to follow them. And remember, listening to 20 guys trying to teach you the same thing is not a good thing. Try to hone that down to a couple of guys with a similar style and try to work with them to build your style and create all of the systems and things that you want to in your business to make your business move forward and obviously scale itself. Now, it's not always, sometimes guys go, I'm not really trying to scale, Ron. It's not about scaling. I just want to be a successful one-man operation. And I believe this. I believe that you should try to be the best one-man successful operation as you can be and put all these things together and have some actual hands-on tangible experience before you take the next step to scale your business and step away from the truck. I'm a believer in that you really need to know. Now, I have a buddy that has a $20 million service business. I'm not going to say what it is. He has never done that service his entire life. Okay. But what he did have experience doing is he had experience in the service industry for the last 30 years. And he recently, in the last 5 years, built a $20 million service business in 19 different cities. Well, the bottom line is, guys, is he had the experience of running a service business. He felt the application of knowing how to do it was not important. And, I can't argue with it. He's successful. So everywhere in business, there's some anomaly or there's a prodigy out there all the time. Guys, sometimes, it's the Midas touch. Everything they do turns to gold. Now, that's really not the truth. He's a hard worker. He knows what he's doing. He knows the mechanics. He knows how to make a service business thrive. So he understood what he had to do in that field. And he also, old cliche, he put all the successful people around him to help him succeed and do that. And in the future, when you've mastered the one-man operation and you do want to scale, this is when you start having to really you start building your team way before that, but you really want to expand your team and bring in more players, just like any other team does. You want to recruit the best of who you can get to help you out in your business if you want to be the best. Yes, there is. There's 10 different ways, man, to do that. Hey, Amber, how are you doing, man? You were watching me a lot lately, I got to tell you. That's awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Yeah, and Justin Hampton, there's 10 different ways to do the same job. And speaking of that, there is, man, and you can achieve the same results. And that's why I never really downplay somebody's way that they do things. Sometimes I'll say, hey, man, you ever think about doing it this way? Because maybe I can offer a better way for them to get to achieve that results. Because obviously efficiency and stuff like that is always the best way to do it. We always want to be more efficient. We always want to do the job properly. But let's face it, efficiency means more money, more dollars. If we're efficient, we make more money. But I never justify, because sometimes people, it just, the way some people's brains work, on how I do math in my head and how other people do math in their head. My son all the time is trying to tell me that I could do that math a lot simpler in your head, and he pops out these numbers in his head, and it's phenomenal. I'm over there on the calculator, and he's right. Now that just doesn't work in my brain like that, So some people, I've learned you just can't fight the way people want to do things, especially if they've gotten into business and they're their own man. I mean, this is what we get into business for. We get into business for the freedom and to do the things the way we want to do them. Now, hopefully you can be successful at it, doing it that way. And, obviously success is what you have to have. If you don't have success, you're going to fail, and then you're not going to be in business. And then you got to try it all over again. You got to pull up your britches and try it all over again. And sometimes you learn from your mistakes. I'm gonna close this thing out today by giving you guys a huge tip. This is way back in the day, and 20 years ago now. And I had a business, and we basically, I made a mistake, and I implemented in something to the business, and I was trying to fight it. I was trying to make it work. And I threw money after it. Don't throw money after problems. I was throwing money after it. I go, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. And I sit down with my father, and he says, here's your problem. He goes, your problem is, is you're stubborn, and you don't want to be wrong. And he goes, and I started thinking to myself, I keep throwing money at this. I got the team together. I told everybody this is going to work. We kept pushing it. I let it go way too long. I mean, I bled a lot of dollars. Trying what I was trying to do. And finally he goes, man, you just got to admit that you're wrong, and you got to change that. And he goes on to give me a story. He says, man, if you want to be successful, he says, when you can have a self-omission of you made a mistake and that you can change it, and you can ultimately say, hey, man, I screwed up. We got to do this differently. And you start developing that attitude. things are going to come together for you a little bit, a lot better. And that was a younger Ron Musgraves, and I was stubborn, and I didn't want to be wrong, and I tried to force these things. I've learned now that, sometimes you are wrong. You can be wrong. And the most successful people in the world, will know that they're wrong, and they will change, and they will try something different. And that's my tip to you today is that sometimes don't try to force these things. Now, granted, if you try some new strategies, you got to give them some time to find out if they'll work. But if you tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, and they're still not working, there becomes a time, hey man, I got to pull the plug on this. We got to try to do something different that might work. So because I have tried other things that at first failed and never worked. I mean, didn't work right away, and then became flourishing after a certain time period. They did work. So sometimes just because it fails once, don't be afraid to try it again. But when you try it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and you're just stubbornness has got you, and you're just like, don't do that. Don't fall prey to that, because it's gonna hurt you. Look down inside, do some soul searching, and say, hey man, I got to do this differently. I was wrong about this. We got to fix this. Another great tip is when you have a team, or when you have other people around you that are in your organization, and I mean your business, and man, listen to them. Listen to them. Because sometimes after you've been off the wand for a while, you forget, and sometimes people can collaborate, and they can come up with better things, better systems, and better ideas than you did. Trust me, I had way more smarter people that I was working for me that I realized I had to start listening to. And I had a gal that worked for me. Her name was Nicole McHugh. She may watch this video because she still watches my videos sometimes. She was an absolute superstar and rock star for systemizing. I mean, she was the best. Had another gal, Michelle. Her technical writing was awesome. Guys, learn how to utilize the talent that you have within your organization. That's my last tip for the day, guys. Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. Hope this